Yali Madad, everyone. I welcome you once again on behalf of Ismaili Professionals Network and Khan Economic Planning Board for India. This is the session 4 of our Get Job Ready series. In this session, our speaker for the day, Arif Amirani, will be talking about what are the different certifications can be achieved by an individual from a technology background or from a not so tech background, or people from other backgrounds, how they can get themselves ready for the future. मैं इस कॉन्वर्सेशन को ज़्यादातर हिंदी और इंग्लिश के बीच में मैनेज करूँगा. प्लीज़ एक्सक्यूज अगर प्रोनाउंसिएशन में कुछ गलती हो जाए तो. So how many of you have had attended this session which we had organized this a few months back? And if you remember anything from the session, it will be great. Since the last 1 year, especially since March 2020, when the pandemic struck, all of us know that the world turned upside down. And everyone knows the story of before COVID and after COVID, what has happened. But the interesting part is that the world did not really change overnight. दुनिया एक ही रात में बदल नहीं गई. मार्च 2020 के पहले दुनिया अदम अलग थी और अभी एकदम अलग है. ये सही बात है. But the transition has been an ongoing thing. And especially since the last 10 years, this transition has been taking up shape across countries, across industries. March 2020, or as we know it, the pandemic year, it became a catalyst to speed up the transition. इसने इस transition को accelerate कर दिया. So if we are under the impression that COVID के पहले दुनिया काफी अच्छी थी, अभी काफी अलग है, काफी difficult है, नहीं. दुनिया वही है. It's just that the awareness levels amongst people has increased from what it was before the pandemic hit us. Right? So last decade की जो मैं बात कर रहा था, everyone knows how the last decade has changed. We have started getting almost everything using a mobile phone, be it a taxi, be it food, be it education, be it shopping, be it money. Anything what you can think about, you are able to access it through a mobile phone, a smartphone, right? We are having this session. These kind of sessions in the past have had been in person across multiple centers, but due to technology and everyone being familiar and creating a level playing field for everyone, we are able to have these sessions on a more frequent basis with a wider participation of our community people across India, and in some cases across the globe as well. Same goes for, we have heard about things have moved onto cloud, things have moved in a hybrid mode as well. We have looked at content creators, coming up in tier 2, tier 3 centers, showcasing their talent. So technology has in a way democratized everything, access to everything. It is not really to do with what is your socio-economic category you belong to. If you have an access to a smartphone and a working internet connection, you can practically get everything. Yes, the quality of the information differs based on the receiver and who is kind of sharing this information. COVID-19, basically, as I said, it has accelerated the change and not really created anything new. We have seen remote work happening across the board, across industries. Earlier, if no one would have thought that banking can actually happen, like we will not find people sitting in the bank and you could have banking employees working from home. But the situations were such wherein we were pushed into doing things which we were not comfortable doing. And we have seen industries which were enabled by technology or which adopted the technology. They have been able to make the most of this opportunity, or in some cases, at least survive through the crisis to a great extent. It has accelerated digitization across the board. Now, none of the industries या कोई भी domain या कोई भी professional और business owner ये नहीं बोल सकता technology और मेरा लेना देना नहीं है. In fact, technology has become an invisible force across the world. So it is not an addition which we need. It is by default an enabler for getting things done. Accelerating automation has also been one of things. What we mean by automation, you have seen a lot of videos of Amazon or Flipkart warehouses, wherein the entire inventory moving in some places happening completely done by robots, and it has been automated. So we are seeing that in action. It's only that it has become en masse. Everyone has been able to witness in some form or fashion. A simple thing as no one had imagined Jamaat Khana being happening online. But in the last 1 year, we had our celebrations as well online. We had Hazid Mam's Talika, we had Muki Sahib's Duashish. A lot of things have happened online. So we have actually adopted the digital sphere as a way of our life. And that is what something which is focused on with today's session. If we look at the state of jobs in 2025, so this is kind of a survey which is done by the World Economic Forum and other leading consulting organizations as well, wherein they focus on what are the jobs of the future, which kind of industries, which kind of domains, and which kind of professions will be in demand, say in 2030 or so, right? If I'm reflect back in time, when we were conducting sessions for EPB and IPN, a similar session in the past, say 2014, 15, we were talking about almost 60% of the jobs which were there in 2014, 15 will disappear by 2020. And we actually saw that coming through. The reason was COVID, but things did happen. And it's not that we just keep on thinking about this cannot happen, 60% things cannot really move on, but the impact has already happened. The intensity may differ from industries to industries. So यहाँ पे हमने क्या किया है यहाँ पे jobs of the future, since technology is going to play a critical role over here, and our focus over here is in how in multiple domains, how people with different skill sets in terms of technology adoption, technology understanding, or being technology graduates, for a lack of a better word, how that actually plays out. So I have placed jobs of the future from a report, which jobs will be in existence in 2025 or in demand. And I have kind of segregated them on a spectrum. On the left side of the spectrum, you have low tech. On the right side of the spectrum, you have high tech. And this is how the segregation is. So if we talk about the mid tech or low to mid, we have business development specialist, we have digital marketing specialist, and we have software application developers. These are the kind of roles which are in demand. And here, as you can see, business development specialist and also a digital marketing specialist. These are not primarily computer science graduates or software developers or programmers. These are primarily people who have these soft skills, selling skills, marketing skills, how these can be leveraged using technology. So there are a lot of CRM platforms like Salesforce, Hubspot, which basically help you do a better job at developing your business, at marketing your stuff more better. So I'm just, kind of breaking it down in terms of how this impact is going to be and who can actually benefit from this. If you look at towards the higher end of the spectrum, this is where the jobs of tomorrow, or as we say, Internet 3.0 or Internet 4.0 or Industry 4.0, this is where everything is going to play out. So these are Internet of Things specialists, basically IoT devices, what we talk about. Now, IoT devices can be as simple as an Alexa or a Google Home, wherein you can program different skills and leverage these powerful platforms which are there at our disposal. Arif will share some more detailed insights on these. Then we have digital transformation specialists, we have process automation specialists, information security. So digital transformation are people basically who have the domain understanding, the business understanding, and also have some background in the technology landscape as well. So these are the people who enable these transition from the physical world to a pure play digital or in a hybrid mode. And on the high end of the spectrum, this is where your data analysts come into play. These are big data specialists. This is where your AI and machine learning comes into play. So as you can see, what we have been hearing about technology, what we have been hearing about AI, machine learning, big data, these are the jobs which will be there in demand. Yes, these will be high paying jobs. These are high skill jobs as well. But at the same time, it's not that anyone who doesn't know this will not survive. You will be able to survive. And these are the jobs which are talking about in the 2025, how these can be leveraged. Now, skills required to do a job. What's a skill basically? Skills are talent. Now here there are two pictures. One is an individual and the other is a computer. Now, computer is a technology and you are an individual. Now to operate the computer, this is where you require a skill. So this is where a lot of certifications are at play. So this is the basis of getting skilled. So a lot of you put in as ability to learn, knowledge, talent, all these things are a enabler of the actual skills. Skills are basically hard facts. Skills ये चीजें होती है जो आपको ये काम करने में मदद करती है. ठीक है, अगर मैं इंडिविजुअल हूं, मेरे घर में अगर मुझे ट्यूबलाइट चेंज करनी है और मुझे उस चीज का नॉलेज है कि ट्यूबलाइट किस तरह से ऑन होती है, किस तरह से चलती है, बट अगर मुझे वो नॉलेज नहीं, मैं ट्यूबलाइट रिप्लेस कैसे करूं, तो मेरे पास वो स्किल नहीं है. यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रिशियन का स्किल काम में आता है. उन्हें पता है कौन सा वायर कहाँ पे जोड़ना है, किस तरह से ट्यूबलाइट प्लेस करनी है. इन सारी चीजें की स्किल उनके पास है, मेरे पास इनका नॉलेज है. सो दिस इज अ प्राइमरी डिफरेंस बिटवीन स्किल एंड नॉलेज. ऑलराइट, so with that I hand it over to Arif to take the session forward. So he has slides which talks about each of the skills of tomorrow. Yes, you will find that skills from the medicine field or the science, pure science field are not featuring over here. यहाँ पे हमारा मोटिव है किस स्किल्स या किस प्रोफेशन में हम किस तरह की टेक्नोलॉजी को अक्वायर कर सकते हैं. आप लो टेक हो या हाई टेक हो, बट आप टेक्नोलॉजी एज ए डोमेन में किस तरह से पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हो, ये हमारा फोकस है. आरिफ अमीरानी का बैकग्राउंड है, ये सीटी और को फाउंडर है मेट्रो गिल्ड आईएनसी, विच इज अ सीआरएम टेक कंपनी. He has been a hardcore techie and I would say an ethical, I would not use the word hacker, but yes, he has done a lot of stuff in the open source space as well. He had also played a critical role in the second wave of COVID, wherein he and one of his co-founder had created an entire dashboard and an ecosystem where people could look at availability of beds, availability of medicines, so on and so forth across multiple cities in India. He has more than 16 years of experience. He is a part of the AWS community. He has also the necessary certifications. He is a certified AWS professional, and he has an exam as well tomorrow in terms of AWS. So we should wish him all the best. And I hand it over to Arif. Arif, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sajid. Yalimed, everyone. Thank you for the gracious introduction. We'll quickly jump into, so like Sajid was saying, I have been building teams over a period of time. I have worked in large corporate environments to building a small startup of mine as well. And I have worked with many students and early stage companies in building their skill set, right? So the important knowledge that I bring to the table is also how to groom and how to make yourself employable. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to have a certification, what we are trying to achieve today, और आज हम किन लोगों के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, right? And I'll try and mix Hindi and English both, so please let me know if you want me to focus on a particular language. So the first important thing is that remember that careers evolve over time. आज आप जो कर रहे हो, कल वो नहीं करोगे या कुछ और करोगे. एंड कोविड की वजह से ये बहुत ही एविडेंट हो गया है कि इफ यू वर इन अ पर्टिकुलर रोल और जॉब दैट नीडेड योर फिजिकल प्रेजेंस, यू वर क्विकली रिप्लेस्ड बाय automation or somebody else remote, right? Even high paid people who were working in this particular city, they were replaced by remote people in tier 2 cities. Also remember that when you think about your career, you should always focus on the foundations, right? And this is more so evident in a technical career, because in technology you can either quickly learn how to do something or you can also understand why it is being done that way, right? And Sajid gave a very interesting example. उन्होंने बताया कि अगर आपको सिर्फ ट्यूबलाइट रिप्लेस करनी आती है लेकिन आपको पता नहीं कि ट्यूबलाइट चलती कैसे है, तो आप फाउंडेशन पे ध्यान नहीं दे रहे, आप सिर्फ उसकी प्रैक्टिस एप्लीकेबिलिटी पे ध्यान दे रहे हो. और ये जो ट्रेट है ये बहुत जल्दी रिप्लेसेबल. आज अगर किसी को जो आपने 6 महीने या 3 महीने में सीखा है लेकिन आपको इंटरनल्स नहीं पता, कोई और भी 3 महीने में सीख के वो रिप्लेस कर सकता है, राइट। हम जो सर्टिफिकेशंस की बात कर रहे हैं वो एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज को ध्यान में रख के कर रहे हैं कि हम ये एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहे कि आप पीएचडी या कंप्यूटर साइंस का नॉलेज होना चाहिए, राइट। हम ये भी नहीं सोच के कभी आपको सर्टिफिकेशंस बताएंगे कि आपको इंग्लिश भी आनी चाहिए। काफी सारे जो करियर्स या एग्जाम्पल्स और सर्टिफिकेशंस हम बताएंगे ड्यूरिंग द नेक्स्ट 20-25 मिनट्स, दीज आल्सो कैन बी डन बाय पीपल जिन्होंने कभी कंप्यूटर साइंस नहीं किया। लेकिन आज का जमाना ऐसा है कि आपको एटलीस्ट कंप्यूटर यूज तो करना आना चाहिए। कंप्यूटर नहीं तो नहीं, मोबाइल तो यूज करना आना चाहिए, और ये अभी बहुत ही कॉमन है, राइट। सबको आता ही आजकल, और अगर नहीं आता है तो आप पहले वो कीजिए और फिर बाद में सर्टिफिकेशन पे जाइए, राइट। तो कुछ एरियाज में यस कंप्यूटर साइंस डिग्री की जरूरत है, और ये उन लोगों के लिए जो अभी अपना पहला कदम रख रहे हैं करियर में, उन्होंने कंप्यूटर साइंस में कुछ किया हुआ है और उनको आगे they are thinking about what career to get into, right? Today we will not define your journey. हम आपको ये नहीं बताएंगे कि आपको करना क्या है, हम आपको सिर्फ ये बताएंगे कि आप कर क्या सकते हैं, राइट। अब कौन सी चीजें, कौन से सर्टिफिकेशंस आपके लिए अवेलेबल हैं, कौन सी वेरियस एग्जांपल्स आप कर सकते हैं, राइट। तो हम आपकी जर्नी आपको डिसाइड करना है, आपके इंटरेस्ट के हिसाब से डिसाइड करना है, आपके पास कितना वक्त है उसके हिसाब से डिसाइड करना है। So we will focus on entering a career at the early stage, right? So what we will be talking about is internships, how to basically get your first job, how to get into the junior role. We are not talking about senior roles at all, right? And how to grow also, we are not talking about that, right? We will focus on quick entry, and also we are looking at remote opportunities, right? So this is very important. आज के ज़माने में जिस हिसाब से खर्चा बढ़ रहा है लोगों का, जिस हिसाब से jobs may or may not remain the same, please look at what we are telling you today as also a means of second earning. A second income is also important, and second income can be done by sitting in your shop. अपनी दुकान में बैठ के आप जो भी प्राइमरी जॉब कर रहे हैं, साइड में एक आपने सर्टिफिकेशन कर लिया और कुछ छोटा सा शुरू कर लिया, तो वो आपके लिए सेकंड इनकम बन सकता है। यही चीज आप अपने लिए नहीं, आप अपने loved ones को भी जाके घर में बता सकते हैं कि okay, you can even do this, right? So it's a very early thing that we are going to talk. Certifications in general, right? जो certifications होते हैं, ये याद रखिए, ये आपके knowledge का proof होते हैं, right? So what they do is that they only let the person in front know कि you are knowledgeable. It doesn't mean that you are able to do the job, because वो experience बताता है, राइट। जब इंटरव्यू होता है तो आपका सर्टिफिकेशन देख के आपको पहला कदम मिलता है, लेकिन जब जॉब का इंटरव्यू होता है तो आपको काफी डिटेल में भी पूछते हैं। सर्टिफिकेशंस आल्सो हेल्प यू फाइंड योर इंटरेस्ट। सो जो भी हम सर्टिफिकेशंस आपको बताएंगे, अगर आपको इंटरेस्टिंग भी लगता है, घबराइए मत कि मुझे इंग्लिश नहीं आती, ये मत घबराइए कि मुझे डिग्री नहीं है, ये मत घबराइए कि मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है। बहुत सारी चीजें इसमें फ्री है, लेकिन आप जो करना चाहिए वो है कि आपको ये गेज करना है कि ये आपके इंटरेस्ट का है या नहीं। जैसे समझ लीजिए डिजिटल मार्केटिंग है, उसमें भी हम जब बात करेंगे तो जो लोग धंधा कर रहे हैं, जो लोग जॉब कर रहे हैं, या जो अभी दे आर इन ए शॉप, रनिंग अ शॉप, राइट, उनके लिए भी आजकल ऑनलाइन सेलिंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो दैट सर्टिफिकेशन कैन आल्सो हेल्प, राइट। सो व्हाट डज इट मीन कि मैं सर्टिफिकेशन क्यों करूं? सर्टिफिकेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज इट इज अ स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे ऑफ एक्सप्लोरिंग अ करियर, राइट। आप किसी 2-4 लोगों से पूछ लिया और बोले कि अच्छा ये अच्छा है क्या, कैन आई डू दिस, कैन आई डू दैट, दैट ऑलवेज लीड्स टू सब्जेक्टिविटी। सामने वाले के ऊपर रहता है कि आपको अच्छा बोले या बुरा बोले। अगर आप सर्टिफिकेशन करोगे तो आपको एक्चुअली समझ में आता है कि इस करियर में जाने का क्या मतलब, राइट। सो रिमेंबर, इट्स अ स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे ऑफ लर्निंग एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग द करियर स्ट्रीम, and later you can always switch the stream, right? Certification takes a month, 2 months, 3 months, and you can immediately switch it, no problem at all. Certifications don't work for senior positions. So if there are any senior people in the group right now, remember certifications don't really help you get senior jobs. Yes, but when you are in your company, when you do certifications, it shows that you are open to learn. काफी सारे जो सीनियर लोग होते हैं वो सर्टिफिकेशंस करते नहीं, वो बोलते हैं मैं खुश हूँ अपने जॉब में, 10 साल 15 साल हो गए हैं, अब नया सर्टिफिकेशन क्यों करूं? And that has changed today, right? Today the senior people always look at other senior people saying, is this person learning or not, right? Is he continuously learning or not? So certifications help in that. Also remember that no matter what you do, you have to build your working portfolio, and we'll talk about that. Working portfolio means that certification करके आप कुछ example project बना लिया, आपने कुछ छोटा सा business launch कर लिया, या कुछ करके दिखाया, right? ऐसे नहीं कि जॉब में जाके ही दिखाएंगे, खुद पे से भी करके दिखाए तो वो भी बहुत काम आता है. और जहां तक हायरिंग मैनेजर्स की बात है, सर्टिफिकेशंस इज एन इंडिकेटर. आप किसी भी हायरिंग मैनेजर को जाके बोल नहीं सकते कि देखो मेरे पास सर्टिफिकेशन है तो मुझे जॉब दे दो, ऐसा होता नहीं है. वो सर्टिफिकेशन आपको स्टैंड आउट करवाता है लेकिन आपको जॉब की गारंटी नहीं देता. तो रिमेंबर दीज बेसिक्स एंड देन वी कैन क्विकली मूव ऑन. So the first career that we'll be looking at is the Salesforce Developer career, right? And this involves working on the Salesforce platform. Now, ये जो career है, ये थोड़ा सा technology oriented है, but you can learn that technology, right? And we'll talk about all this. So what does it mean to become a Salesforce developer, a manager, or an architect, or an administrator? So Salesforce is the world's largest CRM platform. जिसे भी किसी भी कंपनीज को दुनिया भर में जब भी अपना सेल्स चलाना होता है तो उनको एक सिस्टम लगता है जिसपे वो लोग सेल्स चलाते हैं. Salesforce वो सिस्टम प्रोवाइड करता है. It gives you that CRM, right? It is also built as a platform. मतलब वो कैसा है कि it is like an engine. उसके ऊपर आप कौन सी कार बना रहे हो, मोटरसाइकिल बना रहे हो, जो भी कर रहे हो वो आपके ऊपर होता है. तो it is not built as a complete unit. So what does that mean is कि many companies, when they buy Salesforce, they need a Salesforce developer to actually customize it for themselves. अगर आपका समझ लीजिए 20 सेल्स के लोग हैं और आपने Salesforce खरीद लिया तो आप डे वन से यूज नहीं कर पाओगे. आपको एक Salesforce डेवलपर लगेगा जो आपके लिए वो बनाएगा, उसके ऊपर थोड़ी और चीजें, और फिर आप यूज करोगे. तो जो वो बनाने वाला इंसान होता है वो Salesforce डेवलपर होता है और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होता है. और बहुत सारी जो कंपनीज हैं वो रिमोट एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स एंड डेवलपर्स ढूंढती रहती है कि कोई हमारा Salesforce मैनेज करेगा क्या, right? Salesforce also encourages you to develop on their platform. So Salesforce बहुत सारी चीजें देता है आपको कि हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म पे बनाइए ताकि हमारे कस्टमर्स को Salesforce और भी ज्यादा काम आए, right? One very interesting thing also is that Salesforce पे अगर आपने सीख लिया और Salesforce पे आपने बनाना कुछ सीखा तो Salesforce के जितने भी कस्टमर्स हैं वो सब सारे आपके कस्टमर्स बन सकते हैं. So your little investment of time in learning can actually turn into $1 million business if you want it to. Okay. So what are the skills that are required to get into Salesforce, right? Or to become a developer? You need basic computing fundamentals. You need to have some exposure to Java, some object-oriented programming, some databases, also some web technologies. And this is at a very early stage. This is not something that you have to be a 3-4 years experienced developer. You can do it while you are doing something else as well, right? And at the end of the day, what do you acquire? The knowledge that you acquire is you understand how Salesforce works. You understand Salesforce technologies, and they have very proprietary technologies जो सिर्फ उनके लिए बनी है. तो वो आप सीख लेते हो, right? तो आपको हायरिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी क्या है? इसमें हायरिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी आपकी है Salesforce के खुद के कस्टमर्स. Salesforce का खुद का मार्केट प्लेस है, खुद के जॉब्स हैं जहां पे लोग ढूंढते रहते हैं कि Salesforce आपको आता है क्या, तो वो आपको मिल सकते हैं. There are service integrators like Accenture and IBM who can hire you as well, right? There are service companies that predominantly build on top of Salesforce. They also look for people who understand this. So it will take you about 2 months or 3 months to understand computing fundamentals and another 2-3 months to actually build on Salesforce, right? And within 6 months ki journey mein, you can actually start doing certain things on Salesforce, and it's a very it's a highly valued skill, right? So what can you become? You can become an administrator, you can become an architect, consultant, you can become a designer. One of the most interesting roles over here is the Salesforce administrator. ये जो रोल है इसमें आपको अगर सिर्फ इंग्लिश आती है और आप लोगों से बातचीत कर सकते हो तो आप Salesforce को एडमिनिस्ट्रेट, यानी कि समझ लीजिए कोई आके बोलता है कि मुझे एक यूजर ऐड कर दो, मेरा लॉगिन ठीक कर दो, मेरा वो कर दो, तो Salesforce को जो मैनेज करना होता है जिसमें आपको कोडिंग की कोई जरूरत नहीं हो सकती, वो भी आप Salesforce एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बन सकते हैं, राइट? तो जस्ट बाय अंडरस्टैंडिंग द Salesforce प्लेटफॉर्म. These are the various things that they talk about, the job things, but this is published by Salesforce, so take it with a pinch of salt. But yes, these are highly valued career paths that you can get into, right? These are the various certifications that you can do, and these also have different career streams, say right from consultant to developer to an administrator to an architect, and you can choose. The most interesting thing about Salesforce is that there is a Salesforce initiative called as Trailhead, and Trailhead teaches you Salesforce and also gives you certifications, right? All for free. Because ये सारा Salesforce के खुद के ही benefit में है कि अगर आप उनकी चीज सीखोगे तो आप और उस पे ही काम करोगे. तो this is extremely good for people who just want to understand what it means to become a Salesforce, and you can do it very free, right? Totally free. Then there are other places also where you can get paid trainings if you want, like Simply Learn does a couple of trainings that you can also. The next one is Agile project management, right? So some people are very afraid of touching technology. So what are the kind of things that they can get into which is in demand today? So one of the important things is that if you know how to talk to people, अगर आपको पता है कि लोगों से कैसे बात करना है, अगर आपने बहुत बड़ा बिजनेस चलाया है या बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें की है कि बड़े सेल्स टीम को मैनेज किया है या प्रोजेक्ट मैनेज किया है, तो देन आईटी में आपके लिए बहुत एक बड़ी जगह है which is called as Agile project management, right? So this role basically, or this career stream actually helps you manage and deliver large projects using a particular methodology. और आपको प्रोस्पेक्ट्स को वो बताना है, कंपनीज को बताना है कि मुझे एजाइल प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट आता है, राइट? इसके लिए आपको क्या क्या चीजें की जरूरत है? So आपको सॉफ्ट स्किल्स चाहिए, लोगों से बातचीत करना आना चाहिए, आपको अगर टीम मैनेज करनी आती है तो आप कीजिए. आप नॉन आईटी में तो भी ये कर सकते हैं. रिमेंबर दैट आई हैव सीन सेल्स पीपल become agile project managers and then make their careers really go to skyrocket. So you need to also be aware of project management. You need to know a little bit of project management tools. And then what do you learn after that, right? What you learn is you learn agile methodologies which are very specific. उसमें सिखाया जाता है कि आपको प्रोजेक्ट कैसे मैनेज करना है, आपको प्रोजेक्ट का प्रोग्रेस लोगों तक कैसे दिखाना है, जो आपके सीनियर्स होते हैं उनको आप प्रोजेक्ट का प्रोग्रेस कैसे बताओगे. आप ऐसे नहीं बोल सकते कि हाँ चल रहा है, 2 दिन में खत्म, 2 महीने में खत्म हो जाएगा. Agile project management actually teaches you to break it down into smaller steps, try and manage if the project is not going well, तो उसको कैसे बाहर निकालना है. समझ लीजिए प्रोजेक्ट बहुत डीले हो रहा है तो उसको आपको उसमें से बाहर कैसे निकालते हैं, वो सारी चीजें आपको सिखानी. तो कौन आपको हायर करता है? आपको प्रोडक्ट कंपनीज हायर करती है. प्रोडक्ट कंपनीज बिलीव इन एजाइल प्रोजेक्ट बिकॉज़ इट्स द मोस्ट इफेक्टिव वे ऑफ डूइंग इट, राइट? सर्विसेज कंपनीज आर आल्सो बिकमिंग वेरी क्लोज टू यूजिंग एजाइल प्रोजेक्ट. बहुत सारे छोटे-छोटे कंपनीज और बड़े सर्विसेज कंपनीज यूज एजाइल. स्टार्टअप्स भी करती हैं, बट लार्जर स्टार्टअप्स, स्मॉल स्टार्टअप्स में टीम्स छोटी होती हैं तो दे डोंट नीड एजाइल पीपल or people to manage, but larger startups, they will obviously take you, right? This is what the general path looks like कि आप कैसे क्या क्या कर सकते हो प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट में. The most basic thing you can do is to become a certified scrum master. Again, this does not require you to understand technology. You should only understand how to manage a project, right? And the project can be technology based project or a non IT based project, right? But then you can do like CS product certified scrum product owner ho sakta hai. There are other directions also that you can take, but CSM is the basic entry point that will get you a internship or a junior job into the PM part of a role, right? So what is the important things about this, right? So first of all, it's a knowledge driven career. So आपको knowledge की जरूरत है, आपको डोमेन नॉलेज की जरूरत है. अगर समझ लीजिए आप शिपिंग में जा रहे हैं या शूज बिजनेस में जा रहे हैं या सम प्रोडक्ट, सम टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोडक्ट दैट्स वर्किंग ऑन द फूड बिजनेस. So if you know about how the food business works, how the quick service restaurant business works, then you can actually bring in the domain knowledge and this agile knowledge, and you have a much better chances of becoming successful in this career, right? If you do trainings for agile, make sure try and do कि आप hands on training लें. Remote training is not good क्योंकि जो interaction classroom में होता है for agile trainings is very different than trying to do it on a screen, right? Or on video conferencing. So try and favor hands on. The kind of roles that you will get is associate product manager, product management office में हो सकते हैं, आप support staff में भी आ सकते हैं as an entry position, right? So this can be done by anybody. If you are a CA law में है और आपको career stream change करनी है, these are agile project management is a very very good. Then there is a non-IT based project management role as well, right? Which is generally in manufacturing and all of that, right? So if you've been associated with manufacturing or areas, businesses like that, then ITIL is also something that's very good that you can look at, right? It is all about service management. It's about service delivery. It's about customer satisfaction. So, IT support roles or BPOs and all of that. Not that you have to pick up the phone and pick up, solve people's queries. But how do you increase efficiencies in these BPOs? How do you increase the fact that जितने मुझे calls आ रहे हैं, जितना मुझे support में time जा रहा है, how can I reduce that? ये सारी चीजें भी आप using ITIL cover करता है, right? तो ITIL foundation courses भी आप ध्यान दे सकते हैं कि you can look at it, and this is nothing to do with ITIL, right? It's very process oriented, but it is very aligned to Agile. Agile जैसा काम करता है वैसा ही ITIL भी काम करता है. तो इसमें आपको roles मिल सकते हैं process coordinator के, incident coordinator, change coordinator, and configuration analyst, right? These are very good entry roles that you can get over here. This is what the ITIL stack looks like. You start from the foundation, and ITIL version 4 foundation का एक certification होता है, and then उसके बाद you keep growing and you can break up into what you want to get into, right? There are many streams that you can get into: managing professional or strategic leader, and then you become the ITIL master also, which again is a highly valued and paid job. Language is not a barrier. Of course, you need to have that English to get an edge, but at an entry level, you don't even need English for this, right? What are the courses that you get? So here the courses are varied, right? Mostly what happens is that ITIL is done in classrooms. ITIL का special course hota hai, which you take, you spend 2-3 months in it and do it. But eventually you get 1 or 2 certifications, and the most important certification is the ITIL V4 foundation certification. And also, many companies provide it. There is Scrum.org, there is AxelOS that provides it, and the pricing kind of changes. But just please sort of look at it and then do your research for Scrum and ITIL, and you can do it. Of course, there are YouTube also, where there are free channels that also teach you to get prepared for these certifications as well. The next important one, and ये उन लोगों के लिए है जो सोचते हैं कि कुछ भी अगर IT में करना है तो उसके लिए कंप्यूटर्स और कोडिंग की जरूरत है. This is a myth, right? Social media and digital marketing is one of the most interesting certifications and areas to get into, because it not only helps you to get a job, but if you are running a business today, it helps you as well. I have seen lawyers do social media and digital marketing, and whatever they have done for their own businesses, they have provided as a service to others as well, right? Because everybody wants a second income. People have run parallel businesses like that. So if you are not in the IT space, I would still suggest कि आप इस पे थोड़ा सा ध्यान दें और देखें कि आपको ये काम हो सकता है, right? So what does social media and digital marketing mean, right? It's basically the use of websites and social media platforms to promote your services, right? अगर आप shop में हैं या you are basically in the sales space, you are selling it to 4 people. Selling it to 4 million people on an online platform is not that different. एक ही चीज होती है, आपका मैसेजिंग इंपॉर्टेंट होना चाहिए कि आप लोगों से कैसी बात कर रहे हैं और क्या उन तक पहुंचा रहे हैं, राइट? द ओनली डिफरेंस है कि आप 4 लोगों के साथ चाय पीते पीते बात कर सकते हो, बट 4 मिलियन लोगों के साथ आपको वो जो जितना आप लिखते हैं 2-4 लाइन आपकी एड में, वही उन तक पहुंचता है, राइट? So over here, the skills that you get, because there is no real background needed, is that you learn how to optimize ads, right? आप ये सीखते हैं कि एडवर्टाइजमेंट कैसा करना है, और सोशल मीडिया पे काफी सारे लोग पोस्ट लिखते हैं, तो इंस्टेड ऑफ जस्ट राइटिंग पोस्ट, आप उसको पेड एडवर्टाइजमेंट में कैसे करेंगे वो भी आप सीखते हैं. पेड एड्स है, सर्च ऑप्टिमाइजेशन कैसे करेंगे, प्लेटफॉर्म स्पेसिफिक ऑप्टिमाइजेशन कैसा होता है. प्लेटफॉर्म स्पेसिफिक माने क्या? देयर इज ट्विटर, देयर इज फेसबुक, एंड देन देयर इज इंस्टाग्राम, राइट? टॉप 3. इन तीनों में आपका मैसेजिंग थोड़ा अलग अलग होता है, तो आप इन तीनों में कैसे ऑप्टिमाइज करोगे, आप इन तीनों में कैसे मैसेजिंग करोगे, ये आपको फर्क समझ में आता है, राइट? तो आपको हु हायर्स यू, राइट? जनरली यू बिकम अ कंसल्टेंट इन द बिगिनिंग. आप कंसल्टिंग करते हो फॉर स्मॉल कंपनीज, decent sized companies. You might even consult for people who are interested in growing their business, right? तो जैसे पार्लर हो गया या सलून हो गया या whatever, right? उनके लिए आप रियल एस्टेट की छोटी कंपनी हो गई, उनके लिए आप कंसल्टिंग कर सकते हैं कि चलिए मैं आपके लिए ऐड करता हूं, आप मुझे लाख रुपए दे दीजिए, आई विल डू एन एड फॉर यू एंड आई विल शो यू रिटर्न ऑन दैट, कि मैंने आपके लिए 1 लाख रुपए की ऑनलाइन एड्स की तो आपका बिजनेस मैंने इतना बढ़ाया, राइट? तो ऐसे ही आप कंसल्टिंग कर सकते हो. स्टार्टअप्स आल्सो हायर people who are good at advertising, who understand the digital space, right? Because it takes time and experience and a very creative way of doing it, right? You'll see boutique development companies, small companies that do very niche development और बहुत ही specific development करते हैं, उनको भी ऐसे लोग बहुत काम आते हैं. And then marketing companies के लिए तो ये बहुत ही important role होता है. Now, how do you get into this, right? The most important thing is the behemoth, the big guy in the space is Google, of course, right? And Google आपको ये सारी चीजें फ्री देता है. So Google का अपना एक खुद का ecosystem है called as Google Skill Shop. ये जितने भी certifications आप screen पे देख रहे हैं, these are all free. And these are things that you can do on your own. You can do it in your pastime, right? If you're sitting in a shop or you are coming back from your office or school and college and you have an hour, I strongly suggest you at least do one of these certifications. They are not more than 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours के certifications भी नहीं है. और ये सारे free है. And the most important thing is, ये सारे especially Google के, they are valuable. अगर आपके पास ये certification है, तो आप प्रूव कर सकते हैं कि आप एड्स कर सकते हो, बिकॉज ये सर्टिफिकेशंस क्लियर करने के लिए आपको काफी नॉलेज की जरूरत होती है, राइट? बट दे आर फ्री, सो यू कैन डू दैट एंड दे आर वेरी वैल्यूएबल. Then the next person, the next big behemoth in the marketing space is HubSpot, right? Like Sajid was saying earlier, the HubSpot space क्या करता है कि HubSpot is a tool for sales people to manage their sales and marketing efforts. So HubSpot does a lot of their tools are very good when you want to do outbound marketing or you want to promote your product. So they need people to learn HubSpot specific things. तो वो अपने खुद के certifications भी देते हैं. तो अगर आप HubSpot भी use नहीं करते, still आप में I insist कि आप ये certifications करें और ये courses करें, ताकि आपको पता चले कि generally marketing कैसे होती है. आपको ये same certification जो है वो $1 billion कंपनी के मार्केटिंग पीपल भी करते हैं, और आपके अगर शॉप है, मोबाइल शॉप है, या और इफ यू आर स्टार्टिंग अ न्यू स्टार्टअप, द सेम सर्टिफिकेशन मैटर्स फॉर बोथ ऑफ यू, राइट? सो दिस इज रियली अमेजिंग बिकॉज़ दीस आर अगेन फ्री, and there are more that you can do like digital marketing, platform consulting, SEO and all of that, right? Which is just amazing. 2 hours, 3 hours courses and you can do this. Language is again not a barrier. Twitter is also promotes their own concept of learning called as Twitter Flight School, जहाँ पे you can learn how to use Twitter, right? तो अगर आप again छोटी सी शॉप चला रहे हैं, या आप अपना साइड बिजनेस कर रहे हैं, साइड हसल कर रहे हैं, या कुछ आपका लॉ फर्म है, या आपका रियल एस्टेट का बिजनेस है, आपको ट्विटर पे आप मैसेज डालते हैं, राइट, कि कम एंड लुक एट माय बिजनेस. You can actually do it better by doing these small courses of 1 hour and 3 hours, right? So you can learn more. Facebook again brilliant, ये तो हिंदी में भी है. Facebook Blueprint नाम का उनका एक सेक्शन है बिजनेस का, जहाँ पे you can learn all these things, right? So what does digital marketing do for you? So first of all, it's a very consultant friendly role. It's nothing to do with technology. You just have to be very good at messaging. I will tell you through my own experience, 99% of the people in this world do not know how to sell products and themselves. कि अगर आपको मैं बोलूं कि आप अपने बारे में 4 चीजें बताइए जिसकी वजह से मैं आपको जॉब पे रखूं, 99% of the people will not be able to correctly tell me what they are good at, right? They will start talking about hobbies and stuff. But the 1% people who can sell themselves, who can show you value within the first 5 minutes, कि भाई क्यों मैं आपके साथ काम करना चाहिए, क्यों आप मुझे 10 लाख रुपए की सैलरी देनी चाहिए, उन लोगों के लिए ये रोल बहुत अच्छा होता है और आप सीख सकते हो. You can fall into that 1%, right? The second thing is it's the quickest and cheapest way to understand this area, this opportunity. सब फ्री है, आपको सिर्फ वक्त है आपका और कुछ भी. और अभी तो वैसे भी सब घर से ही काम कर रहे हैं, तो you can easily do this, right? It's built on large platforms. मतलब क्या है कि आपको कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होगा कि अरे मैंने तो इतना अच्छा मैसेजिंग बनाया, मैंने इतना अच्छा ऐड बनाया, बट किसी ने देखा ही नहीं. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता इन प्लेटफॉर्म में. ये प्लेटफॉर्म पे बिलियंस ऑफ पीपल आते हैं, तो आप जो भी करोगे वो लाखों लोगों तक पहले दिन पे ही पहुंच जाए. तो कोई आपकी एक्सक्यूज भी नहीं रहेगी कि मैं किस बनाऊंगा तो कौन देखेगा, right? So that's why this is very good. Plus it gets into high paying opportunities like SEO, SEM and paid advertising opportunities जहाँ पे you can make money, right? Plus it's good for you. अगर आप ये सीख लोगे तो अपने आप को भी बेच पाओगे, अपने आप को भी you can sell your own business, you can sell your own products, right? And once you do this, you get roles like digital marketer, digital marketing specialist, part-time digital advertising specialist. ये भी है क्योंकि ये roles वैसे ही होते हैं, part-time चलते हैं. बड़ी companies को full-time लोग लगते हैं, छोटी companies को you don't need full-time people. So this can be a good side income for you. Again, language is not a barrier. It's your ability to sell, right? Of course, थोड़ा बहुत English की जरूरत होती है, but इतनी नहीं होती. So these are the various certifications that you can do, right from Google to Twitter to to Facebook, right? There is a digital marketer, which is a paid platform, but they also have the best consulting. So if you have a little bit of money that you can spend on learning, then I would recommend you look at digitalmarketer.com as well. The next thing is, it's a little technical, but it's one of the most interesting careers, especially for people who are in technology, which is network security, right? So a lot of times, times have changed. A lot of people are now just like बैंक में चोरियां होती थी, आजकल ऑनलाइन चोरियां होती है, राइट? और उनके जैसे बैंक्स को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए यू नीड गार्ड्स, ऑनलाइन प्रॉपर्टीज को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए यू नीड नेटवर्क स्पेशलिस्ट, राइट? तो ये जो रोल है, ये जो करियर स्ट्रीम है, इज ऑल अबाउट नेटवर्किंग स्पेशलिस्ट, राइट? दैट कैन एक्चुअली help protect, understand the system, but it is of course very technology oriented. So I won't spend too much time on this. I'll be more than happy to take this offline for people who are interested. So first you need computing fundamentals, you need networking fundamentals, you need scripting और थोड़ा सा operating system पता होना चाहिए. So computers में काफी आपको मतलब experience होना चाहिए, then it kind of helps you get better, right? You are hired by the big companies because those are the only ones जहाँ पे ये सब होता है. छोटी कंपनीज इंपैक्ट नहीं होती, बड़ी कंपनीज को ही ऐसे लोगों की जरूरत होती है. वल्नरेबल टेस्टिंग कंपनीज जो होती है, जो खासकर आपके ऑनलाइन सिस्टम को प्रोटेक्ट करती है, वहां पे ये रोल्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं. तो दे आल्सो सॉर्ट ऑफ हायर. Then the skills that you learn is how to penetrate, how to break a system, how to understand all of that, and risk assessment, analytical thinking. Those are the kind of roles that you get. Now, don't be worried about this. I just wanted to show you that this role has a lot of potential, right? You can spend years in this role and still you will not be able to cover everything. So that's why it's a very interesting role. It's not something small, right? And then things that you can do in this network security, right? You can either become technology security, you can become infosec, you can become strategic security, but these are all something that are very, very technology oriented, but very interesting. So what are the things that you can do over here? So if you are into the IT space, if you really want to get into this role, then you can become a cybersecurity specialist, right? And if you notice, 19% of the people don't even require a bachelor's degree to get into this role, right? And there is a reason why I'm telling you all this. You don't need to be highly qualified, because whatever you learn about cybersecurity, about networking security, it's mostly through self-learning. Right? There is no schools that teach you. You need to know the fundamentals. आपको basics पता होने चाहिए, लेकिन उसके आगे का आप अपने आप से सीख सकते हैं, right? Then there is cybercrime analyst. You can become a incident responder. कि अगर कुछ होता है तो you need to respond. So all of those are also there, right? Again, 15% of the people don't even require a bachelor's degree. 63% require a bachelor's and only 22% require something more, like a master's or a PhD. And then there's IT auditor. So IT auditor is a very interesting role. If there are people who are lawyers in the group right now, or if there are people who are in that particular profession, CAs and all of those, right? This is also something that's very interesting. If you are into the law space, if you are into the forensic space, like numbers के साथ आप बहुत अच्छे हो, तो IT auditor is another very interesting scope that you can look at. यहाँ पे आपको technology में deep नहीं जाना होता, but you have to understand the regulations and all of that, right? So you can learn a lot of things over here and become an IT auditor as well. So why did I tell you about this without getting too much deep, right? Because one of the important things that you will see, and I'll quickly go back and show you, is that the bottom-most entry-level certification that you need to do any of these above, right? अगर आपको आगे का कुछ भी करना है, तो security plus वाला जो certification है, which is the CompTIA Security Plus, this is the basic certification that you can do, right? And then you can get an entry into all of this. And CompTIA Security is not very hard to do, but once you get it, you can get into any of these roles, right? At least take the first step into it. So it costs you about $370. It's an initial investment, but then if you do that certification and if you do the training for that certification, you can really crack into this space, right? It's an extremely addictive space. It is, constantly you are learning to break systems. You're constantly learning to protect systems. So it's very fun space in that way, right? This is also very self-learning space. यहाँ पे कोई आपको सिखाता नहीं है, कुछ हो जाता है and then आप सीख जाते हो कि अच्छा इसको कैसे अगली बार मैं प्रोटेक्ट करूं. कोई भी सीख सकता है, right? Some areas are a little technology, but some are not. So anybody can learn. It's also rooted in fundamentals. इसका मतलब ये है कि आपको अगर fundamentals आते हो तो आप कर सकते हो. And it's all about thinking, right? कि आप कैसे you can break things and you can do certain things, right? It's also portfolio friendly. What I mean by that कि आप किसी का online property break करके दिखा दो तो वो आपको they'll actually value you more. कि अरे हमारा system break कर दिया तो why don't you come and help us protect our system, right? So it's a very interesting space that way. It requires a IT background, some little bit of an IT background, so that you have to think about. Then there are various things that you can do to get into networking security, and these are all self-learning areas. We'll share this presentation for people who are interested, and you can go through it, but it's not that complicated, right? It might look very complicated, but it's not. Now let's quickly go through certification से थोड़ा हटके कि अगर मुझे second income करनी है या मुझे देखना है कि there is a career or a stream I can get into without spending money or getting too deep into it, then there are some options over there. The first one is the Flutter and cross platform application development. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आजकल जो मोबाइल एप्स बनते हैं, आपने देखा होगा व्हाइट हैट जूनियर 6 साल 8 साल के बच्चों को भी सिखाते हैं, उनके वो जो प्लेटफॉर्म्स बना रहे हैं, वो जो एप्लीकेशन और मोबाइल ऐप डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं, ये हम कैसे कर सकते हैं? सो देयर आर क्रॉस प्लेटफॉर्म एप्लीकेशन डेवलपमेंट systems or frameworks that you can use to build your own apps and try and get into that stream, right? So for this, you don't need a lot of basic IT and computer science knowledge, right? You just need to know a few basic things. You need to know a little bit about databases, which you can learn via Udemy and free courses over a period of 1 or 2 months, and you can start getting into it, right? So what do you learn at the end of it? You learn certain frameworks, right? Certain ways of building application. You learn a few specific technologies, and here we are recommending that you learn Dart and Flutter and React Native, because एक बार आप लिखोगे तो Android पे और iOS Apple पे दोनों पे काम करेगा, इसीलिए this is a very interesting technology to work with, right? You get a job as a consultant, you can join startups, you can even join large companies, right? And if you can show your ability that you can make these applications, then you will get a job. You don't really need experience or background for this, right? Like in my own company, I'm very open to hiring people who can show me that, look, Arif, I have built all these 3-4 applications and push them on the Play Store, and I have 100 people using it. I'll be more than happy to consider that candidate, right? So single code base is the future. कि एक बार बनाओ, Android iOS दोनों पे चलना चाहिए, ये future बनता जा रहा है, right? You don't need specialized teams कि iOS अलग, Apple अलग. अभी that's why even the experiences that people are expecting कि भले ही मैं कौन सा भी फोन यूज करूं, Swiggy वैसा ही दिखना चाहिए, Zomato वैसा ही दिखना चाहिए. So these frameworks are enabling that, right? Also, I mean, this is a little bit more technical, but these frameworks allow you to build the entire application in one go. You don't need कि अच्छा मैंने ऐप बना दिया, अब इसका सर्वर कौन बनाएगा, इसका बैकएंड कौन बनाएगा, इसका पीछे का कौन बनाएगा, वो सब नहीं है, ये सब जुड़ा हुआ है और एक साथ ही आप बना सकते हो. तो in a matter of 2 to 3 months, you can actually build an app without any prior computing knowledge, a full-fledged, early proof of concept, right? तो समझ लीजिए अगर आप लॉयर हैं या आप मोबाइल शॉप हैं या कुछ ऐसे ब्रिक एंड मॉर्टर धंधे में हैं, तो you can actually make an app for yourself, and you can even sell it to other people in your business, right? इनका certifications नहीं होता. You basically learn on your own on YouTube, and then there are courses which actually take you in a more structured manner. Learning है जैसे Flutter and Dart का complete guide है on Udemy, which costs you about 9,000 rupees. So that also you can. Now let's get to a very interesting role, which is the data analyst role, right? So you've heard a lot of things about about AI and machine learning, right? Now AI and machine learning is generally accepted by everybody as the future. So how can we be part of that future and that growth story, right? Let's say I'm not from a computer science background. I'm not from, I don't have a PhD. How can I become an AI machine learning part of that story? I don't want to become an AI machine learning expert, but how can I become a part of that story? So there, data analyst is something that you can enter without actually doing some advanced courses. राइट? सो व्हाट डज अ डेटा एनालिस्ट डू? जब डेटा आता है आपके पास, वो हमेशा क्लीन नहीं होता, वो हमेशा ऐसा स्पेसिफिक नहीं होता है कि भाई उसको मैं इमीडिएटली यूज कर पाऊं। बीच में कुछ लोग लगते हैं जो कि डेटा की सफाई करते हैं, and we'll talk about what does data cleaning mean, right? So this is that role where without having a lot of computer science background, you can still get into this role on your own, right? So here you need some computer science fundamentals, you need, but most important thing is you need to have analytical thinking. You need to know कि how to think about data, how to think about कि अच्छा मेरे पास अगर 100 लोगों की उम्र है, किसी ने 100 लोगों ने फॉर्म भरा है और उसमें उम्र दी है सबकी, मैं वो डेटा कैसे यूज कर सकता हूँ या कर सकती हूँ। वो थिंकिंग, वो थॉट प्रोसेस बहुत काम आता है इन दी एनालिस्ट रूम, right? And what are the kind of things that you learn? You learn Excel. Excel is surprisingly the most important tool for a data analyst. There are advanced tools like Tableau, SQL, migration techniques, data cleaning कैसा करना है वो सीख सकते हैं, problem solving, critical thinking, ethics and visualization. कि आप अगर डेटा आता है तो उसको आप आपने बहुत अच्छे अच्छे न्यूज पे देखे होंगे, वो ग्राफ्स दिखाते हैं कि कोविड ऐसा बढ़ा है, ऐसा कम हुआ, तो वो क्या है? वो बस डेटा है जिसका वो लोग विजुअलाइजेशन कर रहे हैं कि इसको इंसान कैसे इमीडिएटली समझ सकता है, राइट? तो वो सारी चीजें आप सीखते हैं। सो डेटा क्लेंजिंग एंड अलाइनमेंट मींस व्हाट, कि जब आपके पास लोगों से डेटा आता है, समझ लीजिए उस डेटा में आधार नंबर आया है या उस डेटा में पैन कार्ड आया है, पैन का नंबर आया है, तो ये डेटा आप इमीडिएटली यूज नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि ये एथिकल नहीं है, राइट? क्योंकि ये जो डेटा होता है पैन कार्ड और आधार नंबर, ये आपका डेटा है, इट हैज टू बी प्राइवेट विथ यू। वो गलती से आपने सबमिट कर दिया होगा, बट जो कंपनी ये डेटा यूज करती है उसको ये क्लीन करना पड़ता है। सो दैट इज व्हाट दैट क्लीनिंग मींस, राइट? समटाइम्स व्हाट हैपेंस इज द एज कम्स अप रॉन्ग, समबडी पुट्स इन माय एज इज 600, अब 600 की तो उम्र होती नहीं है, तो इसका मतलब क्या है, किसी ने गलती से 0 डाल दिया तो उसको 60 बनाना है, राइट? तो वो सारी चीजें इसमें होती है। एंड देन एज अ डेटा एनालिस्ट यू हैव टू कम्युनिकेट विद अदर स्टेक होल्डर्स। तो जो, अगर आप डेटा एनालिस्ट हो तो आपको जो डेटा दे रहे हैं आपको उनसे बात करना आनी चाहिए, जिनको इस डेटा का फायदा होने वाला है उनसे बात करनी आनी चाहिए। सो ऑल ऑफ द स्टेक होल्डर कम्युनिकेशन इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू do as part of being a data analyst. And then you know there's data modeling, data analytical skills and all of that you have to do. You have to create reports based on the data that comes in, right? And then you have to write reports. So आपको लोगों को बताना होगा कि देखिए मेरे पास 1000 लोगों की उम्र आई है या उनका सिटी लोकेशन आया है, हम इस डेटा को ऐसे इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, तो उसकी एक रिपोर्ट लिखनी होती है, ये भी एनालिस्ट लिखते हैं, राइट? तो ये काफी सारी चीजें अगेन इज नथिंग टू डू विद कंप्यूटर साइंस और आईटी, but it helps to have that background and you can also get into this. This is the particular journey that you can go through. We are more focused on the second one, which is business insights analyst role, so you can look at that as well. Now the most amazing part is कि Google ने ये सारे सर्टिफिकेशंस और ये सारे एनालिटिक्स का जो भी नॉलेज है ये ओपन करके दिया हुआ है। तो अगर आप कोर्सेरा पे जाके ये सर्च करेंगे गूगल डेटा एनालिटिक्स प्रोफेशनल सर्टिफिकेट, ये फ्री देती है गूगल, राइट? तो उनका ट्रेनिंग भी फ्री है और उसकी सर्टिफिकेशन भी फ्री है, और ये सर्टिफिकेशन करके यू कैन get into the analytics space, right? Data analytics space. And I personally know a lot of companies that are using tier 1 tier 2 cities ke people, young college kids and all of that to become data analysts. They are training them, right? Because data analyst, you can't really pay a highly skilled computer science engineer to do data analysis, so they get tier 2 people and tier 3 people to do it for them. So you can also sort of do this. Now the second last one that we are going to talk about is low code development, right? ये काफी interesting सा space है जहां पे if you know that पहले जब हम वेबसाइट बनाते थे हमारी businesses के लिए, it used to take 3 months 6 months, it used to take 20-30 people to do it, लाखों रुपए का बजट लगता था। आज अगर आपको वेबसाइट बनानी है तो कोई भी कॉलेज का ग्रेजुएट आपके लिए 1 या 2 हफ्ते में बना के दे देगा, राइट? क्यों? क्योंकि प्लेटफॉर्म्स वैसे बन गए। वर्डप्रेस एक बहुत ही कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म है जिसपे लोग वेबसाइट बनाते हैं। द सेम ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इज हैपनिंग टू द एप्लीकेशन स्पेस। आज अगर मैं एक एप्लीकेशन बनाना चाहता हूं, समझ लीजिए मेरी एक रेस्टोरेंट है या सलून है, राइट? और मुझे एक एप्लीकेशन बनाना है ताकि लोग उस पर बुकिंग कर सके, अपॉइंटमेंट ले सके सलून का, या अगर मैं लॉयर हूं तो मेरे जब अपॉइंटमेंट लेनी है तो मुझे अगर वो एप्लीकेशन बनाना है मोबाइल ऐप, तो आज भी मुझे 2 महीने लग जाएंगे और मुझे बहुत सारा पैसा देके किसी से बनवाना पड़ेगा। ये जो चीज है ये बदल रही है, और इस बदलाव में 2 कंपनीज हैं जो सबसे बड़े हैं, which is called Webflow and Bubble.io. So what is happening is that they are targeting business owners to build their own apps without requiring any computer knowledge. आपको सिर्फ लॉगिन करना है, आपको कैसा ऐप चाहिए आपको बनाना है, और सबमिट करके वो ऐप तैयार हो जाता है और प्ले स्टोर में चला जाता है, राइट? बट ये जो बनाने का तरीका है ये अभी भी वेरी अर्ली स्टेज पे है, तो आपको थोड़ा सा कंप्यूटर साइंस चाहिए होता है, आपको थोड़ा सा डेटाबेस के बारे में पता होना चाहिए, लेकिन बहुत कम। So this is actually, I spoke about this in June this year, and today when I look at the community has grown at least 10x, right? And people are paying more and more money for developers and application developers who know low code. Because why would you pay lakhs of rupees and 3 months of budget time for the same application that somebody can do it to me for in a week? Right? And Webflow and Bubble is not free. They charge you about $35 to $50 a month, but it's worth it because $35 से $50 में I can build an app. So if you are getting into application development space and if you are trying to look at it, I strongly suggest you look at low code solutions. It's that space is entirely just exploding right now, right? There are open source free versions like AppSmith. There are also enterprise level versions like Meridian and all of that, which I think it's Merlin or Meridian, I forget the name, but they are doing it in the enterprise space. Webflow and Bubble is doing for individuals. So अगर आपका सलून है तो आप ये यूज करके अपने सलून के लिए बनाइए, और फिर जितने भी आसपास वाले सलून्स हैं उनमें भी ये बेच सकते हैं. You can charge them $100 and you can pay $35 to Webflow, right? So this becomes a second income as well. This is an emerging technology. Remember that. It's still 6 months later, I still say that it's an emerging technology. So, you just got to be careful. Like I said, you don't need to build the whole application from zero. You don't need developers. Low complexity apps जैसे appointment के apps है या lawyer के कोई case file वाले apps है, ये सारे आप इसमें बना सकते हैं using drag and drop. Demand for these app builders is very high, right? And I can vouch for that. And database में भी आपकी जानने की जरूरत नहीं है. Complicated backend systems की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आपको Excel या Google Sheets use करना आता है तो आप ये use कर सकते हैं, right? And Webflow का अपना खुद का एक फ्री कोर्स है जहाँ पे वो सिखाते हैं कि हाउ टू यूज Webflow. एंड Bubble का अपना खुद का बूट कैंप्स है जहाँ पे आप सीख सकते हैं कि खुद का ऐप कैसे बनाना है. तो ये सारे बूट कैंप्स हैं एंड Webflow का भी लिंक्स है that you can. The last one, which is cloud computing, as we all know that cloud is getting very big and it continues to grow and grow and grow. It is in fact right now Amazon's primary revenue source, right? Amazon being so big, well, it's one of the primary sources of revenue. So how do I get into the cloud computing space, right? Here you need to know computing fundamentals, you need to know certain networking fundamentals, thoda sa database ka aana chahiye, but at the end of the day you learn the platform, right? You learn Amazon, you learn Google, GCP, you learn Azure and all of that, right? You can use any one of them. This is what the Google ecosystem looks like. You can start with a fundamental path and kind of grow towards it and become expert into that as well. But again, this is very, very IT and technology related. But if you are tired of doing application development, if you think you are in QA, if you think that you're not happy with what you are doing but do have a background in technology, I strongly recommend that you look at this as well, right? Amazon is the same. They have a full path and you guys can of course reach out to me. And Amazon ecosystem is there. Azure ka bhi apna khud ka hai. The challenge here is that you cannot give general advice for this role. You really need to know where you are going, and only then specific advice can be given as to what kind of certifications you want to do. But there are some fundamental certifications that I think everybody should do, like Amazon ka cloud practitioner hai, that can be done, and it costs about $75 and it's very useful, right? This is something at the end that I'll say that Amazon is doing a free course for people who want to get into a solutions architect role. They are giving you 50% discount to get your own certification, and that's also something that you can look at. And then of course, Amazon का अपना खुद का training library है. Even if you're not doing a certification, but you want to understand the space, I would recommend just take a look at it. Right? So on a closing note, do your due diligence. Whatever we are saying over here, we have our own bias and perspective. So do your own due diligence and research. Check for the latest data about what the space looks like और क्या आप कर सकते हैं, क्या नहीं कर सकते हैं. Information भी change होता है geography और industry से. US में certifications की अलग value है, India में थोड़ी अलग है. कुछ industries में ज़्यादा है, कुछ industries में कम है. तो ये आप check कर लीजिए. Talk to experts in your circles. Of course, for any of this, our team is open for you to talk to anytime. You can drop in a mail and we'll get back to you. Also review and take your decisions, right? Whenever you do a certification, don't just jump into it. You always review what you have done, what you've learned, whether it's to your liking and all of that, and then you can.
So if there are any questions, please feel free to put them into chat, or you can also write to us at a later date. That shouldn't be a problem. And as Arif said, this presentation will be available and as well as the recording will be published shortly. So if there aren't any questions, I would just like to summarize and just share some perspectives from my end as well on what Arif spoke about. Now, Arif's background is, pure play tech. And if you look at my background, I'm dealing with tech in some form or shape, but my primary is in terms of business strategy and all. And I can, completely in sync with people who are not from the tech background and kind of feeling that this is not really for us, and how RF kind of broke it down into in terms of what kind of skill sets you require. It's not necessary that you need to be a computer science graduate or a software programmer. There are a lot of options available for us to begin our journey with. A graduate, a postgraduate is not really a hindrance anymore, because there are a lot of options available. The world is going literally a large scale digital transformation. So if you can demonstrate that you can acquire the skill sets, you have the ability to learn. If you remember the first question which I asked when we started the presentation, some of you did write about ability to learn. So I think that's something which is required. And one thing from my end which I would like to also add is develop a deep domain understanding, because technology is kind of becoming invisible force. Technology is becoming an enabler, but the challenge is the problems are real, and to deal with the problems you need to have a domain understanding. So if you are from the field of finance, accounts, if you are in the field of say pathology or something else, that deep domain understanding will actually help you work alongside someone who is in the role of a business analyst or a software developer. So you can definitely transition yourself. It cannot be, okay, I'm not a science graduate, I cannot move into it. No, you can definitely get into that zone. So developing that domain understanding is super critical, and that's where it will allow you to demonstrate. And Arif spoke about a lot of low code or no code solutions, which also allows you to learn. And there are also tutorials and certifications which are available. So certifications is one thing, but learning is the second aspect, is the key aspect over here. So, with that, I would like to close the session. I think there is one question which is coming in. I am a project, Aftab Patel, I am a project planning manager with 10 years of experience developing mega projects in infra industry. Also, I am a PMP certified. With advanced AI tools and cloud technology on the rise, what will be its impact? What will be the impact on the project management jobs? Arif, your take?
Sure. So project management is technically, part of it is automation, but a huge part of project management is actually managing the project itself, understanding the nuances, right, which you cannot automate, right? So there are cases when projects get red zoned, or they get delayed and derailed. It's people who finally figure out solutions, right? So project management is still something which I believe is going to be very human oriented. And yes, there are tools that are helping the problem solving part, or at least data gathering part. But again, it's to be seen how well AI or machine learning will sort of impact that aspect of the business.
Absolutely. There is another question by Zara Patel. After taking the certifications, where do we search for similar kind of jobs according to skill sets acquired? All ask for experience. Yes, that is a real problem.
So, see, the whole point of certification is to reduce the question of experience, right? There are a lot of people, somebody puts up a job description, people get hundreds of applicants, right? You want to stand out. You want to be the person who are able to say that, okay, I have this certification, I am better than at least the people who are coming with nothing, right? And like I said, certifications do not really get you a senior job, because when you are a little bit senior, the expectations are different, right? Certifications are just, you know how it can be done, but have you done it, right? So I would say that if you have a good, valuable certification, there are many certifications which have zero value, right? It's like getting an MBA degree from, I apologize if somebody's from one of those colleges, but if you get an MBA degree from some college versus you get an MBA from Harvard, you both have MBA, but the value of that is very different, right? And of course, the training and all of that is different. So I would say that you have to do the certification, use that certification to build a working portfolio, depending on what kind of certification you're doing, where you show examples of usage of that knowledge. And then you can, sort of wow the hiring manager, and you will stand out from the rest.
Thanks, Arif. So I also have a take on this. This is a very relevant problem that people ask for experiences. So how do we really get through the door? So now through the online world, there are a lot of opportunities which are available. So when it comes to getting hold of any data, so I'll use an example, say, of a research analyst. Now, when you're applying for a research analyst role, say from an equity research perspective, you may not necessarily have experience, but there is a lot of public information which is available about the industry, about the company. So, if you're an equity research analyst, if you want to get into that career, as an example, no one stops you from doing your own portfolio research. Pick up a few stocks, pick up a few companies, and do your own research. Same goes for, say, if you're talking about from a user experience kind of a study. Now, pick up any apps which all of us are using, all the majority of the apps. Now, you as a user, you do encounter some challenges that, yaar, ye aise hona chahiye, yaar, ye waise hona chahiye. Build your own case study around it. Do some research at your end. And can you come up with a solution at your end? That's a good way to demonstrate. So it is showing how are you applying your skills in the real world. So that is something which is very, very critical over here. Now, there is one question from Sohil Patada. Please elaborate about financial analyst. I will take a jab at this. So, Sohil, I have worked in the role of a financial analyst in the past. That has been my background. That has been my background through and through. Now, when you look at a role of a financial analyst, so there are industry specific requirements. So when we're talking about a financial analyst, it can as simple as it begins with understanding the financial statements. What is the end goal? The end goal is to identify whether this, you have to understand the profitability. You are understanding the financial statements basis on, you want to do a fundamental study on the company. You are a part of the audit team, you are a part of the accounts team, or you are a part of the risk management team. There are different ways and means you can get into that. So this is again a financial analyst who is actually well versed with Excel, because that's the advantage with financial analyst or data analyst have, that we have had that exposure of working with Excel. And the first step in the world of data analysts and AI, you are dealing with huge sets of data. And with your basic skills, you can actually kind of know the basics of it. Okay, how do you go about segregating data? What are you looking for data in that information? So these are two ways of looking at the financial analyst as a role in different context. So yeah, I think this is, there is one question which is again coming from Hussein. He's asking about which are the certifications for beginners if you are willing to dive into AI and ML.
So AI and ML is kind of a vast space. There are some early certifications that you can do, but from my experience and knowledge, I would say that if you want to really dive into AI ML, right, as a career, and if you have a statistics background or a computer science background, then it's best to learn using Kaggle and those other websites, right? Where they throw challenges at you, where you have to understand the nuances of the data, the data modeling, the data analysis, and what you can do with the data. And then you sort of learn while you're competing over there as well. So I would definitely suggest that before jumping into a certification, you would want to look at Kaggle and the basics of AI and ML. Also, I would just add one more thing, that there is an alternative route that's coming up, which is commoditized AI. So if you're really getting deep into this, like say, for example, Amazon has a service called as Sagemaker, which is a commoditized AI model, which means कि उन्होंने सब कुछ लिख के रख दिया है. They have all the data, they have all the ways of solving that AI ML problem. You just have to throw the business problem at it, right? And you have to understand the nuances of it, and you'll probably get an output. So again, can't give a very specific answer over here, but these are the various ways you can look at it.
So I think in the interest of time, we can wrap up this session. So thanks a lot, Arif. Once again, it was, as always, a great interaction with you, and always, good learning just by having a conversation with you. And thank you, everyone, for this lovely evening and great set of questions, pretty interesting discussions as well. We have not been able to answer all the questions, so you can surely reach out to us on our individual IDs as well. I will just share the link to my LinkedIn profile, and Arif, you can do the same for yours. We can surely connect on LinkedIn, and we can take our conversations forward. And also you can reach out to any of us board members at EPB or IPN. We'll be more than happy to take it up from there. You need to fill in the feedback for today's session, because that helps us to improve the session further and make it more interesting. So a link has already been shared in the chat window. Would request everyone to just fill this in. And the communication email ID has also been mentioned over here. So, please go ahead and share those. Your feedback or any doubts people had in terms of you're looking for job opportunities or other stuff, we will be able to route it to the right person. As progression, the Get Job Ready series session 4 comes to an end today. The next session is planned, which is focused on the other emerging trend, which is the gig economy. And that the details will be shared with everyone shortly. Thanks a lot, and Yalimad, everyone.